This morning I'm kind of looking around, seeing all of these high schoolers going to school right now. It's kind of that rush hour period for them. And it reminds me of a very important lesson I learned, which is never ever buy a new car. My first car ever was a Toyota Previa. It was a minivan. I know, how lame is that? But no, it wasn't lame. It was so cool. It was my parents', obviously, a family car. And the first time I ever drove it without my parents was about 15 years old. I remember my parents were out on vacation somewhere, and they were very good parents, but you know, there were a few things that we kind of let slip through the cracks, and one of them was, how is Beau going to get to school? Because I took a few classes at the high school, and also Green River Community College. Well, so they let me drive by myself before I had a license, a legal license. At 15 years of age, I remember being so paranoid about the speed limit. It's like, I'm not going to get caught. I'm not going to get caught. No, and every time I saw like a police officer, I just like, I froze up. I still sort of dislike it when I see police officers, and as I'm driving with Liz, I'm like, Liz, they're looking at me. They're waiting for me to make a mistake. She's like, no, Beau, they're on your side. It's okay. No, they're looking. They're waiting. When I was delivering pizzas at Domino's when I was 18, this was the first time I've ever had a cop pull me over. And he was driving behind me, and I was so paranoid about, like, okay, I know it's 25 right here, but it's a speed trap. I always see people get pulled over. So I just kept glancing down at my speedometer, thinking, okay, I'm going exactly 25. He's not going to catch me for even going 26. Well, I was so paranoid about going the speed limit and watching this guy behind me, I neglected to see a crosswalk and some kids not crossing the crosswalk. They were actually sort of hidden behind a parked car, but they popped their heads out right when I was passing the crosswalk. And it was just enough for the cop behind me to see the kids. And he stopped, of course, and let the kids go. And then he gunned it and turned on his lights, and he pulled me over for not stopping at a crosswalk. The magical thing about living in a small town is this man, he walked up. Oh, hey, Beau. Hey, how's your family? Yes, I knew him. His name was Steve. His kids actually did Taekwondo with me many years before. And I said, oh, hey, Steve. Doing great. Family's doing great. How's yours? How often can you do that to a police officer, you know? Hey, Beau, did you see that crosswalk back there? Yes, I should have stopped for those kids. Yeah, you should have. So you delivering pizzas? Yeah. Okay, all right, well, drive safely. And that was it. It was just a warning. Really nice of him. But to this day, I will always be paranoid about not only going the speed limit now, but stopping at crosswalks. So now I'm paranoid about two things that are really going to distract me from driving. Yeah. So this Toyota Previa, this minivan, the first thing that people think is, oh, you had a minivan. Oh, so you had all sorts of room back there, taking the ladies out and stuff like that. Well, I did actually have a lot of room back there, but not for what you're thinking. I actually had quite a few people say, hey, Beau, we're going somewhere with a bunch of friends. Can you come with us? Of course, they were just using me, and they wanted to use all the room I had in my van. But it was cool, going to dances with a bunch of my friends, and they just pile all in there. Or going to the movies, going to the drive-in movies. Oh, that was awesome. Because I'd sort of back up and pop it open and reverse the back seat so that you could all sit back there. And then actually took another seat out, put it on the ground. So get this, stadium seating. Are you tracking with me? So awesome. But you may be wondering the whole point to this expose on why you should buy a used car. Well, that's because you can do anything you'd like to it, and you don't quite feel as bad as buying a new car. Not only the obvious, which is the depreciation, it is just like that on brand new cars, and that's just a very poor investment. Cars aren't supposed to be investments, but I digress. What I did with this minivan, oh, so much fun. Well, first of all, I did something very, very Hispanic, and that was I spray painted the hubcaps. Whoa, but wait, I got Christmas lights, and I figured out how to splice them into the electronics, and I had a little switch so that all I had to do was flick it, and on the bottom I had underglow. That's right, blue lights underneath my minivan. Yeah, totally pimpin', I know. And if you looked kind of under there, like, wow, does he have some really expensive like underglow rods or something like that? No, they were blue Christmas lights, but they worked magnificently. yeah, I know, it's pretty cool, huh? I also put a little beeper back there, so whenever I shifted into reverse, the reverse lights went on, but those lights also activated a little beeper that went beep, 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 which was so much fun when I was, pulling out of a parking space at my college, community college, fake college, none of this real college stuff. And everybody would just like jump and look around because they expected like this giant semi-truck to be backing up. No, it was just a little minivan. I also put a big horn in there, like a semi-truck horn. You know, the kind that go wah, wah. Yeah. So I had the whole compressor built underneath. That was actually inspired by my grandpa, who also put like this giant horn underneath the hood of his car. But those horns are powered by compressors, by air compressors. They take a lot to make those things blow. And I remember when I was very little driving along, and Papa would push this button and just freak people out because he had a really, really loud one. It sounded more like a train horn rather than like a semi-truck horn. Yeah, it was nuts. At one point, I'm pretty sure he made an old lady drop her groceries, and she shook her fist or a finger at him, and he just giggled and drove off. Yeah, he would just do that, drive by people. Wah! That's so great. So I did that too. Not to that amount of troll level, but it was great. If you want to get someone's attention, yeah, just put a semi-truck horn in there. The last thing I did to my car, well, actually I did several things, a strobe light and all that, but I won't go into that. The last coolest thing I did to my minivan was I put, well, let me explain to you the situation. Then my girlfriend, no, not my girlfriend, my boyfriend, no, my sister's boyfriend, there we go, I got it now. My sister's boyfriend, she had him over, and I was like, hey James, I want to show you something that I just did out in my car, because he was into cars. He's like, oh, okay. So he sat there in the passenger seat, and he was like, okay, so what'd you do? I was like, well, it's in the glove compartment. And as he went to open up the glove compartment and reach forward, I pushed a little button on my far left, and you heard this little whirring, this ding 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 ding. What I had done was I got a water pump from a toy gun, and I was brilliant, okay? No, I basically just like drilled a hole in my glove box and then put this little pump in there, hooked it up to the wiring in my car, put a switch down there, and a little bottle of water. So it had a reservoir, and whenever I pushed this, it would spray a tremendous amount of water on whoever was sitting in the passenger seat, which at this point was my sister's boyfriend. And I didn't know, like I hadn't really tested it on someone, but it sprayed directly into the lap of the victim right there. Yeah. So he started screaming and trying to block it, and I remember he called me piss pants, which was very appropriate for where I was spraying this water. Are you piss pant? And yeah, it was so great. Oh, it was so awesome. So that's the story of my first car, the minivan, and that is why you should always buy a used vehicle.